Hello and welcome to our astrological transits. Well, we have quite a dynamic week, I would say, coming into this last bit of November. And a few things that I put out here just to start with. We know we have this trine that we've been in with Venus, and you can see Venus, and let me point it out here. Venus in late degrees of Scorpio, and then we have Jupiter, the getting to the late degrees of Cancer, and Saturn getting to the late degrees of Pisces. So we can see it's almost perfect. We have Saturn retrograde, so it is slowing down. It's like getting really, really slow, and it actually will turn direct this week on Thanksgiving Day on Thursday. So we'll have a few significant things this week, and I'm trying to highlight it here in the beginning. So nice trine, water trine, um, emotional, flowing, um, balancing, um, compassionate, watery, elusive type of energy. And then we have Venus, and Jupiter, two benefics, and Saturn. So we've got the trine now, the opening, the trine between Saturn, Jupiter and Saturn. So again, just a little bit about that. We have that optimism, that opening up, that hope with Venus and Jupiter in its home place, exalted where it likes to be. So this is really nice energy. Venus, though, is a bit like Matahari, you know, um, kind of sultry underneath the surface, not totally giving it up. Maybe, it's like not totally wilting to the whole emotional water energy. We still have some semblance of integrity of holding on to certain principles maybe with this. And then I say that because going over there to Saturn, even though Saturn is in the watery part of this trine, even though it's in Pisces, it's still Saturn. It still represents structure. Structures can change. That's the cool thing about being in that type of position to humbly make changes when you've had the truth or the right evidence pointed out. And I think it's constantly like that. We can't ever get fixed on something, just inherent astrology. Fix leads to mutability, which leads to cardinal, which leads to fix, which leads to mutability. It's constant. So I think it's in our constant spiraling, of unfoldment that we just keep remembering these principles. So Saturn being here can dissolve structures and things that it doesn't need to. It can get rid of the tartar and plaque. Get rid of that type of calcium. It can get rid of the calcium deposits in joints, in bones. It can dissolve that hard structure and put that into bone and into teeth enamel, I'm just giving you some other analogies of how that we can reuse that. And then on the emotional level, how quickly can we get on with something without bemoaning it in an emotional way? How much energy do we waste messing around with just complaining, whining, pissing, moaning, bitching about something where you can take all that energy and just put it into the new thing? Now, granted, we all need to vent, but there's enough. It's like, okay, enough already. And I think that's the what Venus is pulling in through this trine energy, because again, it's that scorpionic look, that depth, that forever, but it still is that higher reasoning. Scorpios are smart. They deep and investigate, but even though it's fixed water, it's still water and it can change. So I think that's like in its nature. And this week with Venus, Venus is going to change signs. You can see how close it's going to make that exact trine. Look, it's going, in the next couple days, it'll be trining. Tomorrow, I'm not going to move this because I'll show you in a minute, but you'll can see it'll be 24 degrees and it'll be exactly, moving in with Jupiter. And then by Thursday, it'll be exactly moving toward Saturn. Then Saturn is about stationary. It's going to turn direct on Thursday. So it's not going anywhere. It's still stationary. It's holding position. Venus is moving past that. But it's still a very powerful energy. This is like really holding this, and I think it's important around this time to hold that energy of home and family. There's our nice Jupiter in Cancer, but maybe at a higher level, from a higher level. Okay, that's what kind of what we're coming into, and then I circled the important players this week. Venus is going to be involved in a few things, and actually, she's one more. I wanted to get one more aspect for you so you can check it out. Bear with me, just so you can just see it real quick. Okay, so this is what we've got going on here. Venus will come, as it gets closer here, she'll be over here with there. Okay, with Uranus. So as you can see these degrees clicking away, click, 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 so it's going to go, so tomorrow it's going to go exact trine with Jupiter, which is really nice, putting in this energy. I think putting the deep energy into what brings you comfort and joy with the structure necessary. And then the structure will kick in. So by reaching Jupiter first and then Saturn, I think it's like you have to reach into your ideals, into your dreams, and then you can make it concrete. If it were the other way, if it hit Saturn first, it would hit up against the hard wall of like, what is your task? You must prove worthy before you get the prize. I think this one is the other way in that you have to dream. You have to dream it into place. You have to know that it's there. It's that's, it go into the elusiveness, and that brings in this um, Pisces elusiveness of Saturn. Now, one other thing here, and I'm just going to move on with this, but this is that. Okay. So Saturn stationary all week. It's pretty still. Mercury as well. Mercury is going to go direct this week, right after Thanksgiving. I think about the 29th. Yeah, Saturday. Mercury will go direct. So it's like very stationary. It's not going to be moving much too. So we have this nice conjunction. Um, Mercury and Venus, we still, Venus is moving higher in degrees and Mercury's moving back. So they've already, they're separating, but we still have that conjunction of those energies that deeply investigating what you want. What is it that you want? How can you bring it forth? And that's, trining over to Jupiter. So we're bringing forth that, and then the structure Saturn comes in. Um, if you have things at these degrees, anywhere, I would say from 20 degrees to 28, 29 degrees, this is going to be very significant for you. It'd be interesting to look in your chart where this trine is, even though you may not have anything in it. See what houses it involves. Like in this example here, it would be this third house, the seventh house, and the 11th house, right? Yep. Okay. So anyway, you can look and see what area of life that involves. So just for instance, like this person, it would be their third house. It could be anything to do with short journeys, short trips, siblings, neighbors, neighborhoods, small communications. Over to the seventh house of partners, partnerships could be, communicating with, their neighbors. It could be involvements, significant others. Um, and then over to the 11th house of groups and friends. So anything, other things, I'm just giving you real quick of those houses would play out. And then again, if you have planets there, you got to add that in the mix, but everybody can look at that. Now, next significant thing is very interesting. Mars right here in the middle of the grid, 14, 15 degrees, yesterday, today, tomorrow, because we'll be making, it's called in the bends of the nodes. It is right in the crux of this mutability. And it is moving, from this, it's moving from a Virgo going toward, later in the signs, Pisces. So right in the middle, Sagittarius. And if you have anything right at this 15 degrees Sag, give or take, so you have this bending of the nodes, and it's moving away from the south node. So, what is that? It's like using, your energy not to be, that Virgo south node, hypersensitive, critical, giving that up, all those ways of this is wrong, that's wrong, and using our energy that way. And we need to do less of that and more toward moving it toward what you want, moving it toward, again, that unknown, that compassion, that deep inside. So just also the fact, I mean, if you have it there, anything near that 15 degrees, that will be impacting you more. But just in general, everybody, will be moving more toward that um, that the collective conscious or unconsciousness will be moving more toward that spiritual side, more toward that Piscean side. So we're kind of past Mars, past that midpoint. And that's a very interesting thing, right? Right in this kind of uh, poignant area. Mars being right here in the middle of this too could also activate a lot of world events. The United States is a Sag rising. Um, I believe I believe Netanyahu is a Sag rising. Um, I think Israel, I can't remember if Israel's or maybe Lebanon. There'll be some interesting world events of people with that because this is going to just resonate. And then right in the middle of the degree is unstable. And then because all of this is that mutable energy, things that may appear one way may change at the end because of the mutability. Mutable Mars is not the most dependable of all the, of the, for Mars to be in that, it may change its mind, it may shift, at the end, all of a sudden it's getting, the arrow is ready to aim, and then all of a sudden it's distracted and misses the shot or changes lanes, like, oops, I'm going to do this instead. So kind of be on the lookout for that. So this is very important because this is a major planet in between this intense crux. And again, if you have anything at 15 Sag that are around there, that could also be influencing you with drive and energy and maybe shifting from one to the other, from the Virgo South node, the hypercritical, to the Pisces North node, the illusory intuition side of it. Okay, so those are big things. And then later this week, you can see Venus. Venus is also going to change signs. So many, many things going on this week, and I'll just show you the dates in a minute. We'll flip through that. But you can see as Venus rolls on, it's getting closer to Sag. It's going to be right at the end of Scorpio, and it will be opposing Uranus. Another key date, the 29th degree, we know is a critical degree, is very unstable. So it could also be testing, Venus, your wants at that nth degree. Is it stable? Is it testing? Does it pass my inner tests? Am I being too hypercritical about it? The Venus, I mean the Virgo South Node. Am I not letting go and trusting? Trust the universe. But it's kind of a mix of, what is that saying? Um, pray to God, but tie your camel, something like that, um, that kind of thing. It's like, don't just wing something without doing it. It's like, oh, God will help me, and then you don't do anything to help yourself. God will help you as you help yourself, kind of an energy. So that is in there. So a lot of stuff here. A lot of Venus is a main player here, changing signs, conjunction with Mercury. So this is, communication in a grand water trine. Um, Very poignant. Poignant player. Right. Okay, so let's get rid of this and then just flip through the days. We went through most of the big deals. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so cool, cool. Now, big moving into that. The moon this week is getting toward our half, it's half moon, it would be the second quarter. So it's getting that it's see the it's kind of a confusing because you think it's going to be a quarter moon, but it's a half moon because when it's halfway across, or actually opposite, it will be the full, right? So as we're getting here, we're able, if you look at it, it will be, the half of the moon will be lit by the sun coming into that um, this week. All right. Oh yeah, also with the moon's energy this week, the phase, we're gonna start with it just coming out of Capricorn. So, moon this week is now going to start occupying the whole left side of the chart. And the upper left side of the chart, the upper left quadrant. So what is that? Upper means outer to the world, where you're seen, how people see you, an elevated point of view, and left side of the chart is hyper personal. It's about you. So this is kind of our grand place, 10th house or where people see us, 11th house where we have, communications with larger groups. Have that collective view, have the big view for everyone, not so focused in like it is like on the fifth house Leo. And then sort of the whole resolve it all, the whole just Piscean mush out of it all. And then the new dawn coming into Aries. So the whole, flipping over on this whole upper quadrant, basically, quadrant four, and then starting into quadrant one, but still all left side of the chart this time around. So it's like a lot of this interpersonal, but this week we kind of start on the big view before we micro in on the more primal energies, coming in toward the end of the week. So with that said, moon, moving through here, is that we talked about the Venus and Mercury conjunction. Venus is going to be, getting closing in on the sun. Okay, so there, Tuesday, it's today. Tomorrow, we have the trine. You can see Venus now is, later in the day, it's like 25, and then here's late 24, so we see Venus moving into that trine there at the 25s. What else on there? Oh, and then here's our moon also is going to be square Mercury, fixed sign, right? So there's just a little testiness too, maybe emotions not totally on par with thoughts. Maybe it's like the emotions also not wanting to deal with the emotions. The moon in Aquarius is like Dr. Spock. It's just like, just give me the facts. And then, yeah, kind of cold data. It's interesting to watch the world news and things, how, uh, uh, people are getting away with or not getting away with things. Mercury is a little snagging up stuff here. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how this is, in the fixed signs. This I don't like to look at moon all a lot because it's so constant, but a couple things, each month or different aspects are worth noting. But the opening square, like the first testiness of this new moon that we got into. So things could be getting a little testy here, right? And the moon is halfway point of getting full. You're ripening the ideas, you're testing it. Is it gonna perform, as it gets more full? All right. It brings us over to in America, the Thanksgiving Day, moon in Pisces. I think that is going to put on, it's either going to be a wet blanket or a kind of nice, because Pisces can be really nice and sweet. So I'm hoping it is that way more than it is kind of a wet blanket, but not a lot of aspects on Friday. We got the sun moon energy, and then that square is changing, and then we also have the, Mars, um, moon and Mars mutable energy. As the moon moves on, it will make the square over to Mars. So there we could also have some energy, a drop after the big Thanksgiving meal, moon here, um, in spice in kind of spacey, expanded. Could also just make it really nice. It could be also focusing this energy in on inner things, whatever brings you more of an inner peace, moon in Pisces squaring over the sun. Okay, just that little bit. Then moon also moves over the north node, which is really nice. Moving toward that compassion, maybe putting it's like, yes, this is the right thing to do. This is giving, maybe seeing through a lot of the BS that might be perpetrated. And then over, the moon's going to go over Saturn, kind of maybe putting a little responsibility, or as a human being, I should be doing this, or it would be good to share more common will toward people, more compassion. And then over Neptune, again, it's going to kind of reinforce that. The only thing here to watch out is for any con artists, con things, maybe, being putting things too much, too thick. Um, People could put on big shows, and we are coming into, the biggest shopping day of the year. you might be a bit diluted, but by the time, well, let's see where it is. Okay, so coming into be only halfway through it. So on Friday, Moon has just gone over to North Node, so there could be a bit excess there. It's if it were over the South Node, you may not be so inclined to buying, but maybe being over the North Node, you might tend to spend. And here it is on Friday. And then, but coming over to Saturn. I would say, I mean, that you'd think could put a little reins on it, but it's Saturn is kind of weak here. It's like dissolving boundaries. It's not coming up with a structured plan. This could lead to impulse buying. And then coming over, through the day, through into Saturday, coming over Neptune. Watch out, things that appear too good to be true because they usually are. Moon coming over Neptune, definitely on Saturday. That could also be people telling you things, information that comes out, um, information that comes out publicly because we're also Moon over Neptune late in Pisces. What time is this? Like 5:30 in the afternoon on Saturday. So there could be some, I don't know, false flags, falsities, false information, missed communications. I don't know, anything like that coming over there. Let's see, what else did we talk about? Let's see, Thursday, told you those. We said Saturn is direct on Thursday, Friday, and then let's see, Saturday. Um, Mercury is direct there too. You see it's stationary at 20 degrees. So, right, it's just hanging out there. Saturn just hanging out there, right? Um, Venus getting close here. Should be Sunday. Oh, later. No, see, look, it's like she's moving fast. But let's see, let's go a few hours and then where should it get 29? Okay, so here starting late in the evening, East Coast, like 10:30 is when the opposition starts to go again, right. Actually, it's about perfect there. I got 04 and 05 degrees. Yep. Um, with Uranus. So what would we expect there? Maybe a change of mind. Um, did I really want to do that? Did I really make that commitment? Or should I change my mind? Maybe I'm out of my mind. Maybe I didn't, maybe I don't mind. So, um, yeah, that's really all I can say about it. I mean, it's like maybe something you didn't think about out of the clear blue comes to mind. Values are still deep, maybe something comes out because Taurus, is more secured and Uranus is still there, holding that little bit for us before it moves into wacky, Uranus in the Gemini is like taking a sugar hyped kid uh to Disneyland, with a full supply of sugar all day. So that's kind of what I think, thinking Uranus is going to be like for the next 7 years. So having a little bit of grounding, feeding the kid, some solid food before they get all the sugar is kind of like Uranus dipping back into um, uh, Taurus for a little while. Okay, so anyway, looking at it like that, that's, we'll go on. And then by the time we get to Sunday, Venus has already changed signs. So we have a little pile up here. We've got Mars, Venus, and the Sun, all in Sag. And coming into Monday, um, pretty much that. Pretty much everything stays there. So those are the big things this week. Quite a bit, pretty dynamic week is, as we get on into the week, things will get a little bit more movement oriented as we move through. So hope everybody has a very nice week, whether you celebrate Thanksgiving. It's always good to be thankful for what we all have. All right. Thank you for listening. More to follow. See you next time. Bye for now.